Hello, everybody. Shaquita Graham here from AtechoWeb.com. I'm here with Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses of SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. And we have a laughable topic to talk about here. We saw this in the Facebook timeline and we had to share this. So let me just share my screen about these people trying to tell us what's beautiful and what's not. Hold on. All right, let me rewind it. Uh-oh, let me give you some sound. Hold on.
If you have between it is natural, but interestingly enough, studies show that if you have between 104 degree or 108 degree nasal tip rotation, those are the ones that are considered the most beautiful, and hers is 106.
To measure our nasal tip rotation.
And
look at this.
The most beautiful one.
What they say is all under the eye of beauty, right?
Okay, the second one requested eyelids.
Okay, now just in case you can't hear what, hopefully you can, they have a picture of Kate Middleton on here saying that she has the most desirable face because of something about the rotation of her nasal tip, such and such.
The angle of her nasal tip.
This says it all. Look, she's like, okay, really? I was at work. Where am I? Look at this other guy. He's like, what the? Okay. So, what do you think about this? They've explained that Kate Middleton has the most desirable face.
I think I'm just entertained by the faces of the Black newscasters. And one of the things that I honestly did ask myself, what are they doing at Fox? We all know what Fox is about. But on a more serious note, I think I've shared this story you know, I used to enter pageants when I was younger, and actually not that long ago, as Mrs. Botswana, I competed in a pageant. And one of the things that I've never forgotten about that pageant is that who decides, in other words, who's judging your beauty really counts, okay? What happened in this pageant was there were 60 women. Every one of the women was drop dead gorgeous, but there must have been maybe 10 of us who were Black, obviously because we were from either the Caribbean or from Africa.
All of you were drop dead gorgeous, really?
Yes, we were drop dead gorgeous.
Okay. And there was only 10 Black ones.
Yes. I know what you're getting at, but my point though was the judges, who were all white with the exception of one Asian person on the judging panel, honestly saw all the Black women as ugly, and the behavior showed it. The way they chose the winners and everything, and totally excluded the Black people, showed what they really believed and so forth. My biggest regret now is ever having put myself in that position, and I will never do it again. And it was my mistake to believe that an international pageant where everybody comes from all over the world would actually be fair, and that the judging panel would be diverse and reflect the diversity of the women. And that was a lesson well learned. So again, it's obvious who decided that Kate Middleton is the most beautiful person, and then went and tried to kind of get specific about what exactly makes her beautiful. I mean, an angle on her nose, my nose has no angle. So what does that mean? You know? And again, this is irrelevant to us, but I thought it was funny anyway.
I mean, I'm glad that we can laugh about this because we're beyond this. As far as our identity and our thoughts about the beauty that God placed into us, we know that this is some kind of stupid joke. But one thing I can say is I'm so glad that we homeschool, and I'm so glad that we have platforms to share constructive information about the beauty con game that is waged upon Black people globally. And I just want to share an excerpt from the actual book called The Beauty Con Game by Umoja. And some of the things that they say, as we researched this topic, we discovered that beauty, or the so-called lack of it, was used as a justification to oppress Blacks and non-whites. simply because they do not look like white people. And we discover something even more sinister. Beauty had been scientifically connected to intelligence and morality, to devalue non-white life, and to justify the past, present, and future exploitation, extermination of millions of non-white people all over the planet. This is the type of information that we need to be giving our sons and our daughters, and we need to force feed to ourselves so that we can understand what this is about. And I love the fact that they go into a lot of information in this book. They talk about the black doll, white doll experience. Black females are the main targets of beauty terrorism. And we've talked about this before with the Mac model, whose lips were talked about. But at the same time, millions of man hours and millions of dollars are being used to duplicate something that cannot be replicated, that God himself crafted and designed and fashioned. But we still have, you know, these, we've seen some rappers, we've seen some athletes come out and really try to shame Black women about their beauty and are confused because they fall into this beauty con game. So it is important that we stop looking for validity in the minds of suspected white supremacists.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought up, you know, that we homeschool, because I've come to realize that by the time you see an adult, usually a female, whose self-esteem is really, really low, they've had it told to them from a very, very young age and from a very, very vulnerable stage that the darker your skin is, the uglier you are. Whatever that angle they were talking about to the nose, which of course we shouldn't have, and all these things that make us look the way we are, which is beautiful, and which if it hadn't happened to you that somebody told you something different, you would think you were beautiful. Why wouldn't you? But it's like from a very, very young age and a very vulnerable age, you get told that this is ugly, this is wrong, your hair's too curly, it's too kinky. What's the other word that they use?
Nappy.
Nappy, your hair's too nappy, it needs something. And even with Beyonce's daughter, I remember when she first started showing her daughter, they kept saying, oh, they need to do something with her hair. What they really meant is it shouldn't be natural like that. It needs to be straightened and made to look a different way. And even now, after, I think it was VMAs, I don't watch these awards, but some award show that was on recently, they talked about her facial features and that her nose is too big and she looks too Black and all this other stuff. And the sad part, again, that I'm always emphasizing is some of the people who attack Black people for being too Black are Black themselves, and that's sad.
And the bottom line is that if it was true that these traits are so ugly, people would not try to imitate them. Despite the fact that Black people are persecuted and oppressed, some of the poorest people all over the world, people all over the world from sea to shining sea imitate Black people, everything about Black people and everything about Black women. And so, again, it's obvious that our curves are beautiful, our lips are beautiful, our eyes, our hair, all of that is very beautiful. And I feel bad for people who have been conned out of their God-given gifts. And it's sad because, you know, I think as Black women, we've all been targeted in this way. But I thank God that at a young age, I learned to never let people define me related to anything. You know, God put me on this earth, so he's given me a space to be. And so I'm happy to be here and be who he made me to be. And unfortunately, there's a lot of young women who are struggling with this and, you know, using things to alter their looks for the wrong reasons. It's great to accentuate your looks. It's great to be creative. But when you feel like you have to cover who you are, it's sad. And I think we need to graduate from this. And how we graduate from it is Black men encouraging their women, because a lot of women don't know that Black men love their natural hair and their natural texture. Despite the fact that we have a lot of people who do fall for the interracial con game and the beauty con game. Most Black men love Black women. Most Black women love Black men. And we need to continue that narrative and continue to embrace that.
Right. And it's important to recognize that when they don't, it's because something's wrong. Something's wrong with their mind, or something is wrong with what they've been taught and what they've been shown and so on. And it ends up manifesting in many different ways. But no matter how much you spin it, if you can open your mouth and say that something about a Black person is ugly because it looks too Black or anything like that, that's an indication of self-hatred, self-loathing. And we're not naturally supposed to hate ourselves.
I tell you, I mean, I get approached. There's a couple of times I've been approached by white women that just come up to me like, you are so beautiful. I mean, we don't understand that all over the world, the Black female image has been worshipped as God. If you look at all of these museums, the Black Madonna and Child, the Black woman is truly worshipped. The jealousy, that is jealousy when you have to sit on TV and it's just like with the IQ test. I don't need a test to tell me I'm intelligent. I don't need anybody to tell me the angle my nose should be to be beautiful. That's ridiculous. It's asinine. So you're telling me that you have a flaw, you have a low self-esteem issue. Because if I don't think that somebody is beautiful, I'm not going to spend all my time talking about them. It's like, suspected white supremacists are obsessed with Black people. I mean, it's like people will actually say, I don't think white supremacists sit around and think about Black people all day. Yes, they do. They have think tanks. They spend countless hours thinking about us and talking about us and imitating us. It's great. It's psychotic.
Right. And, you know, I just want to emphasize that it really is important, you know, especially being parents, to just kind of understand that that's going on and being the person that counteracts that attack, that constant attack. You know, I often watch TV and I look at all the messages, because the thing is, when you're younger and you're watching TV, it's like you're kind of just watching and not being aware of what's going on. But for me, since becoming a parent, I'm very mindful of what's going on the television and what the subtle messages are underlying that. And a lot of what I see is you're going to see Black people in images of being ridiculous, or they're going to be shown in the worst light possible. In other words, they're going to be the ones who are goofy and falling over, can't speak properly, just a minimization or an extreme example of just being stupid or foolish or something like that. So it perpetuates that thing of, you know, you don't look right, you don't act right, you're not right. So then it then becomes easy to put up a picture of an ordinary, to me she looks just ordinary, a very ordinary woman, and say, look at this, she's the epitome of beauty, and look at the angle of her nose and this. And I'm thinking, what? No offense to her, but ever since I've seen her and all the obsession with her, I've been underwhelmed. And I've always thought, what is it? What exactly is it about her that makes her so fascinating? I don't get it. I don't see it.
And the Black man doesn't get it either. So, you know, this is the thing. The worst thing we can do is not tell our children about the beauty con game. We could almost really just take these TVs and throw them in the garbage. I tell my kids, all that Disney XD and all those little channels where they're up there strumming the guitar and all that, no. I let them know, listen, this is not reality, and they're giving you a message. And I bring to my children Black images of children, and I show them, you know, characters and what Black people are doing in reality, Black children, who we really are. And even at atechco.net, the cartoons that we have on there about technology are highlighting Black children, Black child technologists. And on atechcoweb.com, technically teaching homeschool, I share some of the things that I use to infuse culture into my homeschooling program. So, and I know that, you know, you have a lot of the same types of things going on at your sites.
Right. At the blackhomeschool.com, we do the same thing. Actually, one of the things that I tell, because we have contributing bloggers, I say them, I will never say no to a story that brings accomplishment, achievement, or success from a Black kid. It doesn't matter what they did, as long as we can highlight their accomplishment and their achievement and paint them in a positive light, I'm going to say yes to the story. And we do that. And it's so important.
I just added a webcast series at techaweb.com called Young, Gifted, and Black in Tech. Mm-hmm. And what else was I going to add on that? Lovingtheblackman.com. These are ways for us to take over the narrative. You see that Fox News is sitting up here spinning this whole idea. We have to counteract these things. And I'm glad that's what we're doing. And especially with marriedwomensbusiness.com, that is going to be a way for us to see the authentic voice and image of the Black woman and the strong Black family. That's been taken away from us by media, Black targeted media that we don't own, and that is run by a group of suspected white supremacists, allegedly. Anyway, look, we could talk on and on and on. That's why we have all these platforms, so we can just talk. But thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Noma, for having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Shaquita. Thank you, guys.